As a connoisseur of film, 2023 was quite the year for movies. I feel like we're finally getting out of that COVID period where there's like a lot of movies that were struggling or just had a lot of production issues or delayed and everything. And this is our first like year back of just like quality films, and like, I saw maybe like close to 100 new films this year. So this was like actually tough to make. I was gonna make a top 20, but it's already January like 4th and I'm running late. So everyone else has put out their list. Let me get mine out there and join the ranks. So number 10 is The Holdovers, which is like my new favorite Christmas movie. Genuinely, this movie feels like it was made in the 1980s. Just the way it's filmed and the kind of like tone and everything that they go for in this film. The premise is a student who's stuck at his boarding school over Christmas break and just has to stay with his weird teacher and some of the other staff that is there. And it's a noble, maybe not the most original concept ever, but they just execute it so well because they really get you to love these characters. And that's the heart of this film, right? It's about accepting people's differences, learning to really appreciate someone, learning about someone's past. And while the heartful moments really land and kind of represent what I think a holiday film should be, it also is like genuinely extremely funny. At number 9, we have Netflix's May December, which is a movie starring Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore. It's a really like edited and put together movie that feels really uncomfortable about the psychological effects from groomers and childhood trauma. It's a movie about these manipulative people who take advantage of like the young and the naive. And it handles these really heavy topics extremely well, from its amazing use of visual storytelling and the weird music that creates this really uncomfortable atmosphere where the whole film, you feel like you can't really trust anyone. I know some people were like mixed on like the way the story presented and the way the film was made, where sometimes it feels kind of goofy in a way. I realized that after you see the whole film, you kind of realize where it was leading up to. And Natalie Portman did a phenomenal job as someone who did this to Anakin as well. So she was very comfortable in this kind of role. At number 8, we have Killers of the Flower Moon. Like the obvious, like Leo, everyone, De Niro. The whole cast is great, and that's kind of what carries a lot of this film. And a lot of the tropes in a Scorsese film, with the way the dialogue, the editing, the kind of like crime-filled nature of the film is still there. But it tells a very real and important story that's super relevant even to today of colonialism. And I think for the most part, they do a really good job of showing just how messed up of a story this is and how important and real and relevant this is. But I did feel like there was pacing issues in this film, to say the least, and I feel like the focus is a little bit too much on the white characters, and that's the only reason why, like, for me personally, I don't think it's like a top 5 of the year, but definitely worthy of a Best Picture nominee. Number 7, we have Return to Seoul, which I feel like no one really brought up. This movie is about a Korean girl adopted into a French family, and really it's just a commentary on the adoption industry as a whole. Growing up, I had like a lot of friends in like similar situations, and as they've grown and matured, right, you've seen kind of the cracks and a lot of the issues with that industry. And totally from my perspective, I'm pretty ignorant to a lot of like the troublesomes that come with and the psychological effects it has. And the movie just felt so real, showing the journey of this person who really struggled with their identity and figuring out who they were because of the nature of what adoption and fitting into a new family, and how understanding your cultural backgrounds from different aspects, how that all culminates. I think it was a super powerful film and kind of a tough watch in a lot of regards, and I feel like this is a really important film to a lot of specific people. At number 6, Iron Claw, Zac Efron, jacked. The Bear, jacked. Someone else, jacked. Seeing the trailers in this, I was like, I don't know if this would be really my thing, but like, not what I expected at all. It is a tragic telling of a famous Texas wrestling family story, and it's hard to believe that this movie is even real, and even sadder in real life when you look into it. But it's a movie really about masculinity, which I think is such an important topic nowadays, and is about the toxic nature that a lot of people do, and what it really means to be a man and a family person. This is one of those movies I left the theater and just like left me thinking, and like I was like, shit, that was a phenomenal movie, and that left a lasting impact on me. At number 5, we have Poor Things, which is the Emma Stone-led film. Basically a Frankenstein-esque story, except the focus is on a beautiful young woman and her like surreal journey across the world of self-discovery. It's a really important movie about our treatment of women in society and just how society destroys that innate childlike innocence that we all have. But it does it in such like a surreal, kooky way. The storytelling is really like comedic in a dark humor kind of way. It feels like a really untraditional film in a lot of ways, which is what makes it stand out so much and still has such an impact on the themes that it's trying to say. At number 4, we got Oppie. No one thought that a movie about the guy who made the atomic bomb would be as fascinating and fast-paced and interesting and bombastic. Well, maybe bombastic. It's insane because, yeah, Nolan's great, right? When he does like these action movies or these like thrillers and everything, but the way he was able to create this narrative and still do justice to the source material, interweaving all these characters and using music and dialogue as more of like the action heavy set pieces, it's amazing. Like, this movie is such an entertaining watch, and it's an R-rated movie that got almost $1 billion for a drama, a 3-hour drama piece, and I wasn't bored once, and people wanted to see it in IMAX. It's Nolan to his peak, and really just shocking like how well they could tell this story that is a very critical and essential important story that still opens the eyes of a lot of people of some of the like really like fucked up like pieces of our past for like one of the worst times of modern history, if not the worst. At number 3, you have Past Lives. The whole movie is based around this theme of Inyoon, which is a Korean phrase that talks about people's connection throughout their whole life. Just that everlasting connection that we always have. If you're an immigrant, someone who's moved somewhere, anyone can relate to the fact of knowing someone in the past. When you view your life as like one big timeline, you can see even different sections of your life all have a different impact for your future, your past, just who you are as a person. The motif of Inyoon that this movie is basically based around is such a powerful one that I'm glad I've learned. And the movie does it by telling like a really personal story that really just focuses on 3 main characters. It's just a movie that was like so moving. It's such a simple kind of structure for such a powerful theme, and it just lands on every level. And at number 2, hopping over in a different direction, like it's John Wick 4. Regardless of the genre of your film, there is so much validity into like what it is, and I think John Wick 4, I know John Wick 4 is just really as good as you can get with just like an action movie. And it's not just good action because of, cool choreography, which it has amazing, but it's the way the movie is filmed. It's the way they use lighting in the film, the way they use creative use of like just using the camera, whether it be like doing a top-down shot or close-ups or how it moves around or how to use shadows to obscure certain things and make action more creative and exciting. And it's still saying a lot about the indomitable human spirit over literally like every obstacle. It's just so peak to me that it feels wrong for me not to be genuine and say like this is my second favorite film of the year. And some honorable mentions. At my 11th spot was Barbie. I think Barbie is such an important film, and I think it's so beautiful how this was the highest grossing film of the year, making 1.4 billion. And at my number 12 was Godzilla Minus Zero. The Japanese just know how to make a real Godzilla movie that actually means something. And I'm like extremely sad, but like I wanted to, but I just haven't seen Anatomy of a Fall, All of Us Strangers, and Zone of Interest, which I'm pretty certain would have made the top 10. I just missed the movie listings, and it's getting too late in the year for me to not make this list. So, but at number 1, whoa, it's Spider-Verse. Oof. It uses such a ridiculous like multiverse kind of crazy concept, but still tells such a personal and real story about perseverance and standing for what you believe in and doing your own thing, as he says. And I love how this movie is paced because it's not afraid to take its time. The first like 40-50 minutes of this movie is really more of like a personal kind of drama comedy kind of thing, but just every single aspect of this film in my mind is done well. It has phenomenal music. It has just as good as you can get animation. I mean, every single scene is like a piece of art, and it's just the way they push the medium in such creative uses, and it just keeps your eyes glued on the screen. The writing is amazing, the voice acting, the dialogue. There's just so many moments where Miles with his mom that just remind me of me with my mom. So many good movies this year, but this is the one that like was my favorite, and I can rewatch pretty much indefinitely. And yeah, just my top movie of the year. So yeah, my top 10-ish Kino whatever of the year. Yeah, thanks for watching. It means a lot. Love doing these. Watch so many movies, and it's just so much a joy to like talk about them and ramble, even if it's just for myself to watch in the future. whatever. I know I'm almost running late on these. Everyone has already done them. You know, the big YouTubers and all these views and shit. But yeah, it's probably my favorite topic to talk about, and had a great time watching it. And thank you to all my friends who saw movies with me. Thank you to the theaters, as I go alone to a lot of these nowadays. With a lot of transitions in life, this is like a consistent for me. That means a lot and brings me so much joy. And so corny and sappy, right? A couple more top 10 lists and things for the end of the year. Trying to run into momentum like I do every year into making more videos. And we'll see if it works. But yeah, I'm excited. And yeah, thanks for watching. And ramble. Brand new year, 2024. Let's go. Yeah. Birthday soon. Turning old. Need a haircut. Need to look more professional. Still in my 20s though. So got that going for me. So